Today on Substance Stories, we're going to be talking about harm reduction advice for alcohol use. So today we're going to be continuing our harm minimization, harm reduction series. And I want to start with the most commonly used drug in Australia, and that is alcohol. So I think that a lot of us sort of really underestimate the potential harm of alcohol, but in actual fact, it's the most harmful drug. It's certainly causing the most harm in Australia. So some basic tips on how to reduce the harm that we put ourselves at, reduce the risk that we put ourselves at when we drink. So first and foremost is having at least 2 alcohol-free days a week. Alcohol withdrawal is incredibly dangerous. In fact, it's deadly. It's one of the few withdrawals that are deadly. And the best way to stop yourself from ever being at risk of having a withdrawal and being at risk of serious harm from that is by not drinking every day. If you don't drink every day, you're at no risk of getting a significant withdrawal. So having at least 2 days off a week will absolutely stop yourself getting significant tolerance. Will absolutely stop yourself going through a withdrawal pattern or a deadly withdrawal pattern. So it's an easy starter. The next handy harm reduction technique for alcohol is making sure that you don't drink on an empty stomach. So alcohol is a liquid that usually all liquids and foods are absorbed in our small intestine, but alcohol is so easily absorbed. It's actually absorbed when it's even in the stomach. So if we have food in our belly, it slows our gastric emptying down. It means that even if we're drinking at a rapid pace, it's going to be absorbed slower because there's food in there that's also stopping it from getting absorbed as easily. And then when it's more readily absorbed in the small intestine, again, it's getting taken in less and less. So it just stops ourselves from getting too drunk too quickly. People will drink water every second drink, or nowadays, non-alcoholic drinks, non-alcoholic cocktails, non-alcoholic beers are really popular. Having one of them every second drink, again, it's about slowing down how rapidly the alcohol is absorbed and make sure that we're staying safe. The other thing is a similar line about slowing down how rapidly alcohol is absorbed. What you can do is you can drink lower percentage alcohol drinks. In fact, there are these great beers now that come in a big can, about 400 ml, and they're called one because they're one standard drink. So it's so easy to monitor how much you're drinking if you're just drinking one. I think one of the tricky things is often people really have no idea about how much alcohol there is in whatever drink they're having. People tell me, I only drink 4 standard drinks, but when we talk it through, they think a bottle of wine is 4 standard drinks, but it's close to 8. So if we keep a close tab on how much we're actually drinking, and if we are drinking low alcoholic drinks and we're drinking the same drink, it's much easier to monitor that. What happens, and this is where people will tend to say, spirits, the spirits. Well, what happens with spirits is it's actually just a really high alcohol drink, and we're much worse at sort of monitoring them. It's a bit like when we're eating highly processed foods, and we're much worse at monitoring how calorific they are. So if we're drinking low alcoholic drinks, we're drinking a lot of liquid per alcoholic beverage, and it just helps us slow down the rate at which we're drinking alcohol. And finally, if you are drinking a bit more, and you start to get a bit worried about, is it safe? Obviously talking to people about this is a great idea. You're going to do no harm though if you just start taking vitamin B1. Alcohol can lead to low vitamin B1, lead to a deadly illness called Wernicke's encephalopathy. Just making sure you get enough B1. Buy some thiamine from the chemist. Don't buy a B1 complex. Don't buy a B complex. You don't want any of the other Bs. You just want B1. Have a couple of them a day. You're not doing yourself any harm. So there's absolutely no harm of having thiamine every day. Just making sure that you're not going to get any sort of brain troubles. So when it comes to alcohol, it basically comes down to making sure you're getting enough B1. Another great way to do that is having a balanced diet. Making sure you're not drinking too quickly. So where you can slow it down by drinking low alcohol drinks, mixing in some non-alcoholic drinks, or eating beforehand, or perhaps all 3. And making sure you're having days off in between, giving your body a rest, and making sure you're not at risk of going through any serious withdrawal. That's my handy harm reduction for alcohol use. Thank you.